Mic check, mic check. How we doing? Testing, 1, 2, 3.
might
Is
want
it good?
They're on there pretty good. As long as they don't fidget with it.
Yeah. Oh, that one doesn't look good, does it? I don't know who that one is.
Not me.
Come around, let's get some of this way a little bit.
And then bunch up together, so
And
there's
then
no
let's put the
daylight
electives
between
kind
your
of to
shoulders,
the front,
please.
please. Because I want y'all to camera the whole time.
All right, can two people over there flip your signs over? Thank you, perfect. All right, y'all are great.
Are we out of rally stuff?
Sorry.
No, we have more.
I was like, wow, everyone looks so nice up here.
No, we have signs right here if we're looking for.
Sophia,
Yes.
are y'all catching everybody on the left and right side?
Mostly. Is there a way to get everyone, or?
No, you don't need everyone.
Okay.
Yeah. All
I
right.
don't need everyone.
Just cool.
Yeah, it's close. Ready when y'all are.
Good morning, and thank you everyone for joining us today. Here in Austin, PowerUp Data Centers Infrastructure Conference is getting underway. I believe they will be providing a very positive perspective of data centers. Meanwhile, I hear so many concerns daily about this issue. So we are here to provide a perspective that reflects what the people of Texas are communicating to us. I want to start by thanking our speakers, the elected officials and candidates who have joined us this morning. Senator Sarah Eckhart, our Democratic nominee for Comptroller, Hays County Commissioner and Democratic nominee for Hays County Judge, Michelle Cohen, San Marcos City Council members, Alyssa Garza and Amanda Rodriguez, Austin City Council member Zoe Quadri, and hopefully Democratic nominee for Agriculture Commissioner Clayton Tucker, an outspoken critic of data centers. I'm proud to stand with y'all on this issue. Today, a national energy conference is kicking off in downtown Austin. They'll spend the next 3 days discussing the future of data centers in Texas. They're calling this moment a generational opportunity for the energy industry to grow profitably. They're trying to figure out how to build data centers faster, how to draw more power from our electric grid, how to manufacture consent for their skyrocketing energy demands. This is an amazing example of out-of-state executives being very out of touch. We are the fastest growing market for this industry. There are over 500 data centers either operating in Texas already or under construction. This isn't just because we have little regulation and lots of land. Our state government actively invited them here. Each company is desperate to be first, to beat the competition. They will be consuming vast amounts of power, needing more transmission, and expecting Texas households to pay for that infrastructure build-out. They've been asked to provide information about the amount of water and power they will be using. Many have ignored the requests and have not furnished the information, so we are in the dark. We need more transparency. Meanwhile, people throughout Texas are signing petitions, attending city council meetings, calling for town halls, and demanding answers. Texans are having very different conversations about the future of data centers in our state than what will be heard in the conference here in Austin. Texans are currently subsidizing this industry. We've already provided $1 billion in incentives to data centers in 2025, with that amount growing over the coming years. Back in 2013, the legislature passed a bill, House Bill 1223, that created a tax incentive program specifically for data centers. That law kicked off the data center gold rush in Texas. 13 years later, we're paying the price. We're being asked to pay higher electricity prices. We are being asked to cut down on our water consumption. And we're hearing stories from across the state about what it's like to live next to one of these facilities with light and noise pollution all day and night. Who speaks for the families whose electric bills are going up? Who speaks for the ranchers worried about their water? Who speaks for the communities being asked to shoulder the environmental and infrastructure costs without a meaningful say? That's why we're here today. Texas is at a crossroads, and we need to be planning for the future. We are here to push back against the wealthiest corporations in the world, capitalizing on our resources, receiving incentives, and ignoring the will of the people. That's why over the next week, I will be meeting with Texans. Beginning July 17th, I'll be traveling across the state to participate in a series of data center town halls in Amarillo, Lubbock, Plainview, Big Spring, Abilene, and San Marcos. Because before we make decisions that will affect our water, our electric grid, our communities, and our economy for decades to come, Texans deserve to be heard. I'll be touring with congressional candidate for CD19, Democrat Kyle Rabel, Senator Sarah Eckhart, Senator Nathan Johnson, Democrat for Agriculture Commissioner Clayton Tucker, and others to listen to those who will be affected for decades by these new data centers. Right now, the people living next to these proposed projects too often feel like they're the last to know and the last to be consulted. They deserve better. They deserve transparency. They deserve a seat at the table. And they deserve elected leaders who are willing to listen before making decisions that can't be undone. That's why I'm also calling for a pause on the approval of new data centers until we have the opportunity to hear directly from Texans and put real safeguards in place. This issue is one that deserves a special session for the legislature to weigh in and put in place regulations that ensure we are protecting our communities, providing transparency, ensuring costs aren't passed along to households, and that we are considering the implications of artificial intelligence, including the potential for job loss. Texans shouldn't be asked to subsidize billion-dollar corporations with their tax dollars, higher utility bills, or the water our families and farmers depend on. We need rules that put people before profits and secure our water, energy, and land for the future. I believe families and farmers should have first dibs on their own water supply. If we're coming to your community, I ask you to come out and share your story. You can find our schedule of events at goodwinfortexas.com. I'm concerned about the future of water and energy in Texas, and I will take your concerns seriously. Next up, we'll hear from Senator Sarah Eckhart.
Hi, I'm State Senator Sarah Eckhart. I'm the Democratic nominee for Texas Comptroller, and I want to speak specifically about the entitlement program that was created in 2013 that seeded the, as Vicki described it, the data center gold rush in Texas. That program is a subsidy that has grown fivefold in the last biennium and is now growing at sevenfold. It is a runaway subsidy. In 2022, it was roughly $30 million in subsidy on an annualized basis. Then it ballooned to more than $150 million. It now sits at above $1 billion annually in subsidy and is expected to be roughly $2.3 million in lost sales tax revenue over the next 2 years. I'd like to put that number in perspective. At that level, we could increase our water fund that we just voted to safeguard our fragile water supply by 60% annually. With that kind of money, we could pay down the structural deficit of every single school district in the entire state of Texas. I believe that there is bipartisan agreement in the Texas legislature that this subsidy is a runaway subsidy and is blowing a hole in our state's budget. And I anticipate that there will be bills in the 2027 legislature to eradicate the subsidy or considerably curtail it. But again, a subsidy is to seed a new industry. This industry is well seeded, obviously. And this entitlement program must be ended or radically adjusted to be in line with the guardrails that this industry really needs to have on it to make sure that our human intelligence and our human well-being is not put in second place to artificial intelligence. And I look forward to you all's questions.
Good morning. I'm Dr. Michelle Gutierrez-Cohen, Hays County Commissioner for Precinct 2, representing areas of Kyle and Buda, just about 30 minutes south of here, depending on traffic. I want to thank Representative Goodwin for the opportunity to speak with you today about the impact data centers have had on our counties and what they mean for suburban and rural counties like Hays. Like many communities across Texas, Hays County is experiencing extraordinary growth. New neighborhoods, new business, and new industries are some of the greatest challenge, but they are also our greatest opportunity. We welcome our neighbors. We welcome new investment. We welcome new industry. But the rapid rise in demand for data centers across Texas is too much, too fast, and too unregulated for Hays County to handle right now. It's hot in Texas, and we like to keep it nice and cool when we can, but with a large power demands that come with new data centers, I worry for the hot summer days when we get an ERCOT notice warning to conserve electricity or risk our power grid failing. Or worse, I fear another winter storm Erie that knocks our power grid offline for days, endangering countless lives. And an issue not unique, but certainly close to our hearts in Hays County is our water supply. These data centers require enormous amounts of water to cool their chips, and we simply don't have enough water to meet their demand and for our residents. Some of you may know, but areas of Hays County get their water straight from the wells out of Edwards Aquifer, which already faces historic lows from droughts and increased demand on new development. And for our cities relying directly on the aquifer, they worry whether they will have water in 5, 10, 50 years from now. And believe me, we have a lot of water warriors in Hays County. And while we're very aware that counties cannot outright refuse development or have zoning authority, we have an obligation to meet the needs and frankly, demands of our residents, and we hear them loud and clear. No data centers in Hays County, protect our water and natural resources, and be good stewards of our environment so our kids and grandkids can enjoy the beautiful hill country for generations, just like I have. And this is not just a Hays County issue. Texans across the state are sounding the alarm about the rapid and unregulated expansion of data centers across the state. Yet, after 3 decades of Republican leadership in Texas, our counties are being left high and dry with fewer tools in our tool belt to respond to the challenges of data centers bring. As data centers encroach on Hays and our neighboring counties, instead of empowering local leaders to make the best decision for our communities, the legislature has stripped away authority from our cities and counties and concentrated that power in Austin. We saw just a few months ago where Hill County, Texas, about halfway between Waco and DFW, where their county commissioners passed a temporary pause on data centers. Within days, they faced a $100 million lawsuit from developers just for doing what was right for their constituents. And Hill County is by no means a blue county. They are all Republicans. But the local leaders know what is best, and their constituents demanded action, but the state won't let them. It doesn't matter if you're urban, suburban, rural county, a red county, or a blue county. The increased demand on our resources affects each of us in different ways, and there may not be a one-size-fits-all solution. Maybe some counties are better equipped to handle data centers than others, but I can assure you, Hays County cannot. And we need to listen to the local leaders who know their residents and communities best. Despite the hurdles the state has placed in front of us, Hays County residents and Texans everywhere are demanding action. That's why in June, the Hays County Commissioners Court unanimously approved a bipartisan temporary emergency water protection review period with one simple goal. Before we make discretionary decisions about projects with exceptionally high water use, we want to fully understand what those projects could mean for our county's long-term water supply. The board doesn't stop development. It doesn't create new regulations. It doesn't give the county new permitting authority. Instead, the board gives us something every community deserves before making major decisions about its most precious resource, better information. This is a temporary, lawful process that allows us to make informed decisions using the authority counties already have. As communities across Texas consider the rapid growth of data centers and other water-intensive industry, local governments have an important responsibility. Counties may not have broad regulatory authority, but we do have an obligation to use every tool the legislature has given us to protect the public interest. In Hays County, we believe responsible growth and economic development go hand in hand with responsible stewardship. But we also recognize a simple truth. Every business, every family, every school, and every community depends on running water and the lights turning on. That's the commitment Hays County has made, and I believe it's a model worth sharing as Texas continues to grow. I thank you for the opportunity to speak.
Hello. Do I sound okay? Okay. Good morning, everybody. My name is Alisa Garza, and I have the honor of representing the people of San Marcos, Texas. San Marcos is home to the sacred springs, the headwaters of the San Marcos River, and what is recognized as one of the longest continuously inhabited places in North America. For more than 11,000 years, people have gathered around these waters because they sustain life. Stewardship of our natural resources in San Marcos isn't just an environmental value, it's part of who we are. It's reflected in our history, our culture, and the policies our community has fought for over generations. Just a few weeks ago, spearheaded by the work of my colleague, Amanda Rodriguez, who joins us here as well today, we became the first city in Texas to prohibit data centers through our land development code. And I'll be honest, when the issue first came before us last year, I didn't have some deeply held opinion about data centers. I knew AI was growing, I knew Texas and communities around me were seeing more of these projects. So my job was to ask questions, listen to my community, and do homework. And boy, did my community do a lot of homework. Our neighbors didn't just jump on a bandwagon because opposing data centers was the popular thing to do. They educated themselves, they read technical reports, they met with environmental scientists from the area and across the nation, water experts, engineers, energy specialists, and researchers. They spoke with people in other communities across the nation already living alongside data centers to better understand both the benefits and the trade-offs. And then they came to the City Hall with thoughtful questions, credible research, and a genuine desire to understand what these types of projects could mean for us, not just next year, but for the generations to come. As an elected official, that's exactly the kind of civic engagement you hope for. My responsibility is to shape policy alongside the people I represent, and my neighbors challenged all of us, including me, to learn alongside them. The community conversations evolved, and elected officials have a responsibility to evolve with them, but I'll also say this: it shouldn't have taken that much work. Communities shouldn't have to spend hundreds of volunteer hours trying to piece together basic information about water demand, energy consumption, long-term community impacts, and resource use. Communities deserve transparency before they're asked to make decisions with consequences that could last for generations. My constituents and neighbors from across the nation deserve accountability from an industry that is growing rapidly, and they deserve meaningful information before they're asked to weigh the costs and benefits for their community. At the end of the process, San Marcos reached a conclusion that reflected our values. Data centers simply were not the best use of land for our community, and I'm grateful we had the local authority to make that decision. San Marcos found a lawful way to protect our community, but as Dr. Cohen shared, communities across Texas shouldn't have to wonder whether exercising local authority today means the next community to lose it tomorrow. Every community has different priorities. For San Marcos, protecting our natural resources simply wasn't negotiable. If local governments are expected to manage the impact data centers have on water, energy, and quality of life, they deserve both the authority and the certainty that the decisions they make in partnerships with their communities won't be swept aside by state preemption. State leaders should empower, not undermine, local officials who are doing the hard work of balancing economic opportunity with the long-term health and sustainability of the communities that they were elected to serve. I appreciate Representative Goodwin for bringing people together to have this conversation, because communities across Texas are asking these same questions. Communities across our state are organizing, sharing information, and helping one another navigate this rapidly evolving issue. Our local communities are meeting the moment. The industry and our state leaders need to meet this moment too, with greater transparency, greater accountability, and respect for local decision-making. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. Sorry, I'm going to touch the mic. I want to first give a huge shout out to Representative Goodwin for allowing us to be here today, all my colleagues standing behind me. It is great to be, and of course, you all, it's great to be in community with you all. My name is Amanda Rodriguez. I serve on the San Marcos City Council alongside my colleague, Ms. Garza. And as she just attested to, just weeks ago, our council finalized comprehensive changes to our land development code, where we finalized the prohibition of data centers within our city. I've actually been told we've been the first city in Texas to take this step, but I imagine we won't be the last. And while our community celebrated nearly immediately, the state responded with threats challenging our authority to make that decision. And so let me be clear, this decision did not happen overnight. As Ms. Garza attested to, for more than a year, our residents packed planning and zoning commission meetings, council chambers, town halls, and public forums. They showed up over and over and over again because they understood what was at stake. Our city faced a proposed hyperscale data center that would have consumed enormous amounts of water, and its projected electricity demand was estimated to be 3 times the average use of every San Marcos household combined. Our community asked a simple question: who should bear the costs of that growth? Should working families pay higher utility bills? Should communities sacrifice limited water supplies? Should neighborhoods absorb the environmental impacts while corporations extract wealth and leave behind only a small number of permanent jobs? The answer, as Ms. Garza attested to, the answer from our residents was unmistakable. Nothing should be prioritized over the health of our people, the protection of our environment, and the long-term sustainability of our community. I truly believe that as elected officials, our responsibility is to represent the people who entrusted us with this office, not the wealthiest corporations, and definitely not the loudest lobbyists. And we in San Marcos are not alone. Communities across Texas and the nation are asking these very same questions. Residents are demanding transparency, accountability, and a meaningful voice in decisions that will shape their future. That is why I stand here today with my colleagues to call for an immediate statewide moratorium on new data center construction until meaningful environmental, infrastructure, and economic safeguards are in place. Big tech and innovation must be held accountable. This is a call to make sure the costs of this industry are not shifted onto taxpayers, ratepayers, and local communities while the benefits flow elsewhere. A moratorium would give state and federal policymakers the time needed to establish clear standards that protect our water resources, our electric grid, our air quality, and our local economies before this industry expands even further. But this conversation is more than a conversation about a moratorium. It is also about local democracy. If state leaders truly believe in local control, then they must trust local governments to make decisions about the future of their own communities. The governor has suggested prohibiting new data center development in rural parts of Texas. But if that concern is genuine and not simple lip service, then counties should not have to wait for permission from the governor to protect themselves. For years, the legislature has steadily stripped away local authority while claiming to champion local control. The hypocrisy couldn't be clearer. Meanwhile, nearly half of the planned data center developments in Texas are now proposed for unincorporated county areas, where local officials often have little to no authority to regulate them. My heart breaks for county leaders, and I've talked to many over the course of the past year, who see these projects coming but lack the legal tools to protect the communities that they serve, and that must change. Today, I'm calling on the Texas legislature to restore and strengthen the authority of both municipalities and counties to determine what kind of growth is appropriate for their communities. No governor should be able to declare Texas the epicenter of data center development without respecting the voices of the communities expected to bear the consequences. Because this debate is not about being for or against technology. It is about who gets to decide what our future looks like. It is about whether local communities have the right to protect their water and their quality of life. And until we have real accountability, real environmental protections, and real local authority, there should be no dirt moved, no diesel generators poisoning our air, no fresh water diverted to cool servers while Texans struggle through extreme heat and communities are asked to sacrifice more than they can afford. Our communities deserve better. Our local governments deserve better. And the people deserve a seat at the table before decisions this consequential are made for them. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. And I just want to thank everyone for being here today and braving the rain earlier this morning. And I want to thank Rep. Goodwin for putting together this extremely important event. Austin has always embraced innovation. We want to be a city where people build new ideas, create jobs, and invest in our future. But innovation can't come at the expense of the people who already live here. Right now, we're seeing a wave of proposals for massive data centers across Central Texas. And before we rush to approve projects that will shape our city for decades, we have to ask a simple question: who benefits and who pays the price? Because the costs are real. These facilities consume enormous amounts of electricity at a time when Texans have already experienced the consequences of an unreliable electric grid. We all remember Winter Storm Uri. We know what happens when our infrastructure is pushed beyond our limits. The last thing we should be doing is adding massive new demand without a serious conversation about reliability and resilience. They also consume an extraordinary amounts of water. That's especially concerning in a region that has spent years living through droughts, through drought conditions, watching our lakes rise and fall, and asking residents to conserve. Families shouldn't be asked to make sacrifices while billion-dollar corporations receive access to the resources our communities depend on. And then there's the land itself. Every acre dedicated to a sprawling data center is an acre that can't be used for homes for working families, neighborhoods serving businesses, parks, or community spaces. In a city where affordability remains one of our greatest challenges, we have to be thoughtful about how we use our limited land. This isn't about opposing technology. It's about making sure growth reflects Austin's values. Our values say we should prioritize people over speculation, homes before server farms, reliable infrastructure before unchecked expansion, responsible stewardship of our water and our energy before corporate convenience. Austin doesn't have to say yes to every project simply because it's new. We have the responsibility and the obligation to ask whether it makes life better for the people who call this city home. That's a standard I'll continue to fight for, and I hope my colleagues will join me in making sure Austin grows in a way that's sustainable, affordable, and puts our residents first. And I was so excited to come up here. I didn't introduce myself. My name is Councilmember Zoe Kadir. I represent District 9 on the Austin City Council, and I am honored and so excited to introduce our next speaker, who has been at the forefront of fighting against data centers for a long, long time, the Democratic nominee for Agriculture Commissioner, Clayton Tucker.
Howdy. So I want to thank y'all for your patience with me being a little late. We just drove in from Midland, Odessa. There was a data center meeting out there, and thank Lord for the rain. Let's talk a little bit about water. Because these data centers, they are water hogs, and we are building them in the dumbest places possible. We are building them in West Texas, East Texas, and even Corpus Christi, the city that's a year away from losing water. We are building 3 of them out there. And I shouldn't say we. Silicon Valley and Wall Street are building them, because Silicon Valley and Wall Street are coming to mess with Texas right now. Look, these data centers, if you build the data center in Waco, Weatherford will run out of water. Because this is not just a local issue, this is not just a regional issue, this is becoming a state, and frankly, I'll get a little bit to this later, I believe a national issue as well. And these things create so much pollution as well. The one in Memphis, Tennessee, the Elon Musk XAI one, they created a new cancer alley in Tennessee, in Memphis. The NAACP, the national org, is suing them. The data center they're building out in Taylor, are they going to turn Taylor into the next cancer alley? Or the one they're building in Houston, or the ones they're building near Waco. And I've even talked to farmers around this state, because I'm the secretary of the Texas Farmers Union, a union that has called for a full moratorium on all data centers, that the noise and the vibrations, I mean, it's not just the noise you hear, but the noise you feel, that chickens are laying less eggs, that cattle are having stillbirths. And, well, first off, is it doing that to our livestock? Imagine what it's going to be doing to us. And that noise travels for 5 miles. I mean, let's call a spade with this one. We are already having fertility issues in this country. Is it going to make it worse? The right loves to talk about that, so let's talk about that in terms of data centers. Are these data centers going to make it worse? Let's also talk a little bit about the use of these things, because I think that's something that Texans need to talk about, that we need to hear about. There are 5,000 data centers in the United States. We have more data centers than almost the entire world combined. China only has 400. So how is that a competition? They keep saying competition, competition. They're lying. I guarantee you they're lying, because that is what these data center folks do. But if you listen to their CEOs, I think we can actually understand what they're doing this for. One CEO, Larry Ellison with Palantir, said that every American will be on their best behavior because everything we do will be watched. Maybe that's why after I started running my mouth about these data centers, there are now 2 flock cameras between my ranch in Lampasas and the town of Lampasas. I can't get to town without being tracked now. And also, if you listen to what both the Microsoft AI CEO and Anthropic CEO has been saying, that every job, every white-collar job within the next 18 months will be automated away. Are these promises they're making us? You know, they promise the sun and the moon and the stars. To me, that sounds like the promises made during NAFTA, during free trade, that, yeah, there'll be some job disruption, but we'll have all these other things. But in reality, it is send our jobs to other countries, send our jobs overseas. Are we about to send all of our jobs, including all the jobs in Austin? Are we going to send them up to the cloud? I think these are questions worth asking. Because at the end of the day, this isn't about being anti-technology. It's not about being anti-AI. It's about who controls that AI. Because right now, it's not us. It is a few greedy folks from Wall Street, from Silicon Valley, some of them not even based in the United States, telling us what we can do and what we can't do. And that is not right. That is not the Texas way. But thankfully, these folks made a very critical error. They pissed off a lot of Texans. And you don't do that. It's a very bad idea. I would not recommend it. Because even out in Andrews, where we just were, just north of Midland, Odessa, there was a town hall about the data centers. And oh boy, there was dang near a riot. It was a lot of fun, particularly once we caught the data center folks in a couple lies. Because again, they lie. So I want to thank everyone who around this state and frankly around this country who's been organizing on this issue. This issue isn't left versus right. It's not city versus country. It is organized people versus organized money. And only organized people can beat organized money. That has been true from the populist heritage of Texas. It's frankly been true since the founding of our country. The American revolutionaries were the organized people. The crown, the British crown, was the organized money. Only organized people can win. And that takes us forming a team, that takes us working together, because this is an issue that if we don't get right, it could go disastrously wrong for all of us. Thank you.
All right, I will open it up for questions.